June 1984, Amritsar. The air was thick with summer heat and something else, something unspoken. Inside the shimmering marble complex of the Golden Temple, where hymns usually echoed across the sacred Sarovar, guns were waiting, and outside, an army was preparing. This is the story of how India reached a moment where tanks entered one of its holiest shrines, and how that decision changed the nation forever. To understand that night, we need to go back. Late 1970s. Punjab was restless. Economic pressures, political rivalries, religious identity debates. At the center of it all emerged a fiery preacher, Yarnail Singh Bhindranwale. To his supporters, he was a defender of Sikh values, a man who spoke boldly against corruption and injustice. To his critics, he was dangerous, a man whose speeches were turning sharper, more militant. Violence in Punjab began increasing. Police officers were assassinated, political figures targeted, civilians caught in crossfire. The lines between religious revivalism and armed militancy blurred. By 1982 to 83, Bhindranwale and armed followers moved into the Golden Temple complex, not just to pray, but to stay. Specifically, they fortified the Akal Takht, the temporal seat of Sikh authority. Sandbags appeared, firing positions were prepared, weapons reportedly stored inside. The holiest shrine of Sikhism had become a fortress. And Delhi was watching. India's Prime Minister at the time was Indira Gandhi. She faced a nightmare scenario: negotiate and risk emboldening separatist demands, or use force and risk alienating millions of Sikhs. Talks happened, political maneuvering happened, but violence continued. Intelligence agencies warned of a potential larger insurgency. Train attacks, killings, growing fear. By mid-1984, the government believed the situation had crossed a line, and so a plan was prepared. Codename: Operation Blue Star. Early June 1984. Punjab was sealed. Journalists restricted. Communication cut. Curfew imposed. The timing was especially sensitive. It was around a major Sikh religious observance, meaning pilgrims were present inside the complex. Inside the Golden Temple, thousands were gathered. Some were armed militants, many were ordinary devotees. Outside, thousands of Indian Army troops surrounded the shrine. This was no small raid. This was a full-scale military operation. Night fell, then gunfire. Loud, relentless, echoing off marble walls. The resistance inside was far stronger than expected. Automatic weapons fired from fortified positions. Snipers shot from elevated spots. The army suffered heavy casualties in the initial advance. What was meant to be a swift operation became an intense urban battle. Inside a sacred complex, soldiers advancing under hymns and bullets. By early hours of June 6th, the army escalated. Armored vehicles were brought in, and eventually, tanks fired at the Akal Takht to neutralize fortified positions. The structure suffered severe damage. By dawn, the army had control. Bhindranwale was found dead. So were many of his followers. Official casualty numbers remain debated to this day. Soldiers died, militants died, civilians died. And something else died that night: trust. For many Sikhs around the world, this was not just a security operation. It was a deep emotional wound. The image of bullet marks inside a sacred place became unforgettable. Anger spread. Shock spread. Grief spread. 4 months later, October 31st, 1984, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by 2 of her Sikh bodyguards. What followed were horrific anti-Sikh riots across several parts of India. Thousands were killed, homes burned, communities shattered. The cycle of violence intensified. Operation Blue Star did not end in June. It triggered consequences that rippled across decades. History often forces impossible choices. A government trying to maintain order. A community feeling targeted and unheard. A sacred space turned into a battlefield. Operation Blue Star remains one of the most painful chapters in modern Indian history. Not because it was simple, but because it wasn't. It was politics, faith, fear, power, and consequence, all colliding in one place. Sometimes history is not about heroes or villains. It is about decisions made under pressure and the scars they leave behind.